Hey everyone, this is Connor McCarthy doing an explanation video for the Knowledge Exchange. What we've got here is a math problem that was considered to be one of the hardest SAT math problems that people had seen. And it is a difficult one, so let's go ahead and get into it. Whenever we approach any SAT or ACT math problem, what we're going to want to do is first identify any key information from the question, from whatever diagram we might have here. So if we take a look here, we've got this diagram with kind of like a part of a circle. We've got a rectangle in there. There's a shaded region, so we're probably going to be looking at either area or perimeter. Okay, so we know that we're looking at either area or perimeter is probably what we're considering here. So in the figure, arc SBT is 1/4 of a circle with center R and radius 6. Okay, so we've got some information there. We know that SPT is on the edge of a circle, and it constitutes 1/4 of a circle, with the center being point R in the bottom left there, and we have a radius of 6. Okay, so we know that about the circle. Moving on now, looking through the rest of the question here. If the length plus the width of rectangle ABCR is 8, okay, so we got that information that the length plus the width is 8. That's another value we're going to want to remember. Then the perimeter of the shaded region is what? Okay, so perimeter is what we're looking for here. That's going to be something we want to make sure that we're looking for. We're going to want to have in mind, how do we find perimeter of circles? How do we find perimeter of, rectangles or line segments? So let's take a look here and see what we've got. Okay, so if we look at our shaded region, we've got the one side that is SBT, that curved side there. And let's go ahead and see if we can solve that first, because that one actually seems pretty straightforward. We know that the circumference of a circle is going to be 2 times pi r, or 2 times the diameter, right? The diameter is just 2 times the radius. So we're going to want to remember that's one we're going to want to know by heart. And so for that one, if we look at SPT here, so radius is going to be 6. Radius times 2 is 12, and then times pi. So 12 pi is going to be the circumference or perimeter of the whole circle, right? Okay, so SBT is 1/4 of that. We know from the question SBT is 1/4 of a circle with center R and radius 6. So we divide that by 4. We take 1/4 of 12 pi, and that'll give us the length of SBT. So 12 pi over 4 is 3 pi. So already we can eliminate D and D. We know that it has to be A, B, or C, just by solving for SBT. Okay, so the rest we've got here is SA, AC, and CT. Those are the other line segments that we have here that we need to solve for. So in order to figure those out, we're going to have to employ some other information that they've given us. Okay, so let's start out by solving for AC. So if we look at AC there, there's another length that's going to be the same as AC, and that's going to be BR. In any rectangle, the diagonals are always going to be the same length. There's ways that you can prove that, but that's one that you're also going to want to know. So if BR is the same as SR, because it's still the radius of the circle, right? We see that B is on the edge of the circle, therefore it's still 6 away from R. If that's the case, then we know BR is 6 and AC is also 6. All right, so we're 2/3 of the way there. We know that SBT is 3 pi. We know that AC is 6. All we have left is SA and CT. Now, in order to find SA and CT, we can take a look at them and say, okay, what information do we have left that we can use to figure that out? And in this case, what they've given us is that the length plus the width of rectangle ABCR is 8. So in this context, what we want to look at then is, so AR plus RC, right? So AR from top to bottom of the rectangle there, plus RC, the width of the rectangle there, that equals 8. So if that equals 8, that's going to give us some more information about SA and CT, because SAR, that line segment SAR, the vertical one there, is 6. We know that, right? That's the radius. And then RCT is also a radius, so it's also going to be 6. So what we know then is that if we subtract AR and RC from SAR and RCT, that's going to be 12 for SAR and RCT. That's the total for those two, because it's 2 radiuses. And then we're going to have AR and RC is 8. So we know that the difference is going to be 12 minus 8, or 4. So we know then that SA plus CT, the remaining length there, is going to be 4. So now we have SA plus CT equals 4. AC equals 6, so we add those together to get 10. And then SBT is 3 pi. So the answer is going to be 10 plus 3 pi, which is B. If you guys have any questions about that, if there's something that was unclear, feel free to reach out in the comments. I'd be happy to explain anything further, and I'm sure any of our other tutors would be happy to do so as well. Stay safe out there and keep learning. Have a good one, guys.